lecture number 2, organizational context and approach. Now, to kind of set the scene for any change management within the organization, you need to kind of factor in forces outside the organization, which are external factors, and you got to factor in forces inside the organization. So here are a few examples of external factors. External factors that could trigger change within the organization would be world events such as pandemics and wars. A recent example that we could think of was COVID-19, which has triggered a lot of change in technology and in processes and in the way people work within organizations. So pandemics and war is an example of an external factor. International market conditions, recession, inflation are some of the examples that could trigger change management initiatives. Technology trends. These days we talk about cloud computing, so big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all of them are kind of changing the way we practice things in the technology and the industry space. National cultures, for example, in countries like Australia, you have the Aboriginals, and countries like New Zealand, you have the Maori population. So there's a lot of indigenous population, and to kind of cater to some of these cultures, you might want to kind of undertake certain change management initiatives. So these are some broad external factors. And then we would look now into the internal factors. There could be aspects of organizational culture, and this can vary across various parts of large organizations, even if they are not multinational. Changes in governance structures and styles of governance would trigger change management activities. History of change. A poor history of change can create many problems for the next change. Another factor that we need to look into is a change maturity, which could include the maturity of managing projects. It goes hand in hand with the history of change, project and program approaches. So, for example, we could use slow and methodological approach for change. We could use a big bang or a fast approach to change, or we could use agile, incremental way of bringing about change within the organization, or somewhere in between. So, depending upon the maturity of the organization, in the context of portfolio, program, and project management maturity, we might adopt a particular pace of managing change within the organization. And another factor is the attitude towards change. What are the aspects of resistance towards change? What are the aspects of drivers? What is the organization supportive of? And in fact, we would cover a topic called force field analysis, which is an extremely useful tool to help discover the major factors in play. Now let's kind of briefly look into the link between change management and benefits. Now here we've got a few definitions of what a benefit is and what a disbenefit is. Let me just take you through the definitions. Benefits are described as a measurable improvement from change, which is perceived as positive by one or more stakeholders and which contributes to organizations, including strategic objectives. Whereas disbenefits are defined as the measurable result of a change perceived as negative by one or more stakeholders and which detracts from one or more organizational objectives. Let me just give you a few examples. Now, examples of benefits would include financial gains, regulatory compliance, and improved service. Benefits represent positive gains. However, they can be disbenefits. And to achieve most benefits, people need to do something differently. This is where change management comes in. Good change management leads to realizing the benefits sooner. Let me just give you an example. Let's say we are working in a charity organization, and major donors, let's say, when asking a charity to account for how their financial contributions were being used. So as a part of the response, the charity, let's say, could decide to introduce timesheets for all staff. Now, let's say this had not been done before. The timesheets could provide statistical data to help convince donors that resources were being used effectively. Now, this could lead to the benefit of larger contributions, but the disbenefit could be that we could estimate there could be 30 minutes a week required of each staff to fill in the timesheets, taking time away from other tasks. So change management is often a necessary link between deliverables and benefits. It does this by encouraging staff to make best use of the new situation. Let's kind of look into some additional thoughts. Now, in the world of benefits realization, change management is said to produce outcomes. So when you kind of look into the figure on this particular slide, so let's say the journey begins with co-designing. We cooperate between users, business leaders, project groups, change managers, and we come out with some kind of output, a deliverable. Let's say we are implementing, a particular project management software within the organization. So we adopt, let's say, a waterfall method. We implement the software, but then the benefits of using the software, let's say, increased efficiencies in project management, is the result of change management, and therefore, you kind of link the deliverables to outcomes. It's basically helping people transition from an older way of working to a new way of working. And when you quantify your outcomes, what you have is a benefit. Now, the change manager is rarely ultimately accountable for the benefits. The accountability lies with the business leadership, but the change manager works with the business leaders to help realize the benefits. So a good understanding of the intended benefits will help structure the change approach, allows better cooperation with business leaders and project or program leaders. It also helps to gain buy-in from all stakeholders. Now, if you do remember, in the previous slide, we talked about the example of a charity organization. So if we have to think about another example, let's say in the context of charity, the role of change management would be to educate staff on how to fill in timesheets accurately, leading to better data and quickly minimizing the disbenefits. So the outcome was quick and accurate timesheets. There was also a significant change management task in moving staff from compliance to identification, which we would kind of notice in Kelman's levels of adoption, which is something we would look at on the next slide. So a quick summary of this particular slide. Your co-designing would result in a deliverable or an output, but the journey from an output or a deliverable to an outcome is usually carried out by change management. We need to kind of move from a particular tangible output to a result or a change in the way people work or a change in people's behavior. That's what an outcome is. And when you quantify that outcome, that becomes a benefit.